You're about to see something that was never meant to be filmed. In the heart of a war zone, a Ukrainian Humvee charges forward in a surprise offensive. But within seconds, everything explodes. This wasn't just another attack. It was a trap set by Russian forces. What happened next shocked even battle-hardened soldiers. Stay with us and find out how the Humvee is changing the course of the war. What you are about to see contains sensitive footage from the Ukraine-Russia conflict. It is presented strictly for documentary purposes. Amid the war-torn fields near Bakhmut, Ukrainian fighters face not only the enemy, but also time and the deadly terrain around them. A Humvee armored vehicle begins a withdrawal under heavy fire. In the turret, a soldier fires a .50 caliber machine gun with precision, covering the evacuation of his comrades. The roar of the engine blends with the gunfire. The tension is palpable. Every second could be the last. Suddenly, an explosion. The Humvee hits a landmine. The blast is violent. The vehicle shakes with force. One of the tires is instantly destroyed. But the mission doesn't stop. Now, a rescue is urgently needed, under fire, through minefields, and with wounded on board. Another Humvee pushes forward. Against all odds, the mission is completed successfully. The soldiers are evacuated to safety. More than just an extraction. It was an act of courage in the heart of chaos. In the footage captured by drones, we see Ukrainian forces advancing aboard a Humvee, determined and relentless. From the top of the vehicle, a machine gun tears through the silence of the forest, firing at enemy positions. The footage, released by the 8th Separate Mountain Assault Battalion, reveals the raw tension of the front, Ukrainian soldiers opening fire on entrenched Russian troops. On the other side, the Russians hide in several dugout shelters in the forest floor, hoping to escape the offensive. But the roar of the engine approaches, and with it, the fury of combat and the continuous barrage of gunfire. The Humvee arrives. It fires to neutralize the enemy, but also to provide suppressive fire, forcing the enemy to stay hidden. This allows the infantry to disembark and initiate the offensive on the Russian trenches. According to reports, after the infantry disembarked, the trenches were successfully taken by the Ukrainian soldiers. This footage will now take you to the front lines, where the Humvee becomes the focal point of an intense military confrontation. In the unforgiving terrain of a war zone, the Humvee embarks on a crucial mission on a quiet stretch of road as part of a larger offensive. Surrounded by the deafening roar of artillery and the threat of deadly fire, it maneuvers through the hostile landscape, evading direct attacks. Under constant artillery bombardment, the vehicle proves its worth, withstanding attack after attack. However, no matter how resilient a machine is, there is always a new threat on the horizon. Out of nowhere, a Russian FPV drone appears and strikes with precision and lethality. In the blink of an eye, it hits, damaging the Humvee, a clear reminder of the evolving nature of warfare, showing the vulnerability even of the toughest military assets. Despite the impact, the Humvee's primary mission remains unchanged: to save human lives. Incredible footage shows Ukrainian soldiers on a mission in Russian trenches in the Donetsk region. In this captured footage, we see 3 Humvees loaded with Ukrainian infantry troops advancing with speed and precision towards Russian-occupied trenches in the Donetsk region. The tension in the air is palpable. As the vehicles approach, the force of the Ukrainian offensive becomes evident, revealing the determination of an army in motion. To support the offensive, Ukrainian drones play a crucial role, launching grenades into the Russian trenches and further weakening the enemy's defenses. With quick and coordinated movements, the Ukrainian soldiers launch direct attacks, while the Russians, caught by surprise, begin to retreat in desperation. The force of the impact is immeasurable, and within seconds, the battle scenario changes dramatically. The Ukrainian strategy is in full execution, leveraging the synergy between ground and aerial forces to ensure progress in enemy territory. The Russians flee in a desperate attempt, but they are already being monitored by drones, which pass on coordinates to the infantry, making escape in open terrain impossible. The mission is completed successfully, and the trenches are taken by Ukrainian forces. Impressive footage shows a Humvee vehicle from the Ukrainian armed forces, equipped with the powerful BGM-71 TOW anti-tank missile.
Плюс. Все, сідайте в машину. Все, садитесь.
After Russian soldiers are detected in the trenches, the offensive begins. The Ukrainian vehicle moves strategically toward the location to initiate the attack, aiming directly at a fortified Russian position. This type of weaponry has been crucial in destroying armored vehicles and defensive positions of the Russian army. The Ukrainian operator remains calm and focused, carefully observing the Russian trench and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The impact is devastating. The explosion caused by the TOW sends debris flying through the air, demonstrating the lethal force of this American-made technology, now adapted to the front lines of the war in Ukraine. The use of Humvees armed with TOWs has become a recurring tactic of Ukrainian forces to neutralize entrenched infantry threats and light Russian armor. These strikes are calculated, strategic, and reveal how modern warfare is fought with surgical precision. In a scenario of destruction and imminent war, the Ukrainian resistance rises with impressive force. In the footage captured by the .50 cal marksman leading the Humvee convoy, we see the growing tension as the Ukrainian frontline advances with remarkable military precision. This bold mission reflects the determination of Ukrainian forces to regain control of vital territories, pressing the Russian forces and changing the course of the battle. The action takes place in a location where Ukrainian armored vehicles, the backbone of the offensive, advance toward a village occupied by Russian troops. Although the exact location has not been confirmed, evidence points to the strategic region of Kharkiv, a crucial point on the Russian supply routes connecting the southern border to eastern Ukraine. What we witness is a precision attack, where the volume of suppressive fire relentlessly targets Russian positions. This fire is not just a strategic strike, but a message that Ukraine is willing to go all the way, leaving no space for the enemy to regroup or resist. The sound of gunfire echoing across the war-torn landscape is deafening, revealing the brutal tactical pressure applied on the Russians even before the infantry engages.
Прямо в стекло въебали.
As the offensive unfolds, the impact of the suppressive fire becomes evident. The Russian troops, faced with the overwhelming force of the Humvee convoy and continuous fire, begin to retreat. This retreat reveals a moment of vulnerability and uncertainty, suggesting that the Russian forces, in the face of the speed and precision of the Ukrainian attack, likely abandoned their positions. In a harrowing scene, the Ukrainian vehicles, protected by the power of their fire and tactical preparation, advance swiftly, creating space for the infantry to enter action, securing the captured territory. The reaction of the Russian troops shows that the element of surprise and psychological pressure played a crucial role in the success of this offensive. In the heart of the war in Ukraine, an intense and symbolic scene unfolds. Ukrainian soldiers, aboard a Humvee, cross devastated terrain in search of enemy signs. But what they find changes everything. An abandoned Russian T-80 tank, still intact. In a gesture of victory, they raise the Ukrainian flag over the T-80, symbolizing resistance, courage, and the reclaiming of territory. This is more than just a capture. It's a psychological turning point on the battlefield. The war in Ukraine, marked by brutal clashes and heavy use of armored vehicles, gains yet another real and impactful chapter. You watched through to the end. Only real ones do that. Show some love with a like.